son Jessie was acting especially strange that afternoon at the beach, even for a 10-year-old boy who was on the spectrum. He was waving his hands, jumping up and down in the surf, trying to get my attention. It was the 4th of July weekend, and I couldn't tell what he was looking at, as the beach was really crowded. He was trying to point out something and was growing frustrated that I couldn't see what he needed me to see. I was trying to change his little sister, Missy. She was flailing around in the hot sand, refusing to put on her bathing suit. The kind of attitude that only a 4-year-old would cop on her first ever trip to the ocean. It's hard being a single parent and taking your young kids on vacation. You imagine making the sort of memories that might last a lifetime, and then they act out, fight, and whine the entire time. Still, I had one eye out for my son, and I was doing my best to make sure he didn't wade out too deep, as I had heard the rip current was strong that afternoon. Eventually, he accepted that he wasn't going to get his message across and ran to where we had set up for the day. "Mom, there's a lady who looks just like you a little way down the beach, and she saw me." He leaned over, puffing and puffing from his exertion. Sweet water ran from his sodden navy blue board shorts and down his spindly legs. "Relax, dude," I replied as I finally maneuvered the straps of Missy's swimsuit over her shoulders. "Do you want a drink or something?" Mom, she was even wearing khaki shorts and a white top. I looked around to humor him. It was uncomfortably crowded that afternoon, but not all that hot for Long Island in early July. "Jessie, half of the women here are wearing khaki shorts and white tops over their bathing suits. Christ, it's really weird. Don't cuss." He sat down and drank a soda for a few minutes while Missy occupied herself in the sand. I finally had the chance to crack open my copy of Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse. "Mom, can we drive past the Amityville Horror House?" I couldn't help but sigh, and at times like this, a sigh was more warning than an expression of frustration. "If you behave today and give me a chance to read a little, we can drive past the poor folks' home." He grinned. "Cute kid. How would you like it if people stopped in front of your bedroom window most every day of the year?" I think I'd be more worried about the poltergeist inside. It wasn't a half an hour later when my wish had finally been granted. My feet were buried in the sand as I reclined in my beach chair 30 pages into my novel. Missy slept under a towel beside me and Jessie frolicked in the waves close to the shore. I couldn't help but laugh. In a few years, he wouldn't be caught dead out in public that carefree and completely unaware. It wasn't until he stopped thrashing about in the water that he drew my full attention. He was standing in the shallows, and I could tell that he was talking to someone, but a group of bathers obstructed my view of the person with whom he was chatting. Jessie's body language was guarded, but that was natural for a child talking to someone they didn't know. He looked my way, and we made eye contact. Then he nodded to the other person and came running up the beach. "Mom, the lady who looks just like you came over and talked to me." He was getting a little red from the sun. I realized that I probably should have put more sunblock on him. She warned me about the current and was kind of a bitch about it. "Watch your mouth, Jessie." I almost smiled. He was the spitting image of his father. His dad was dead. Would have been a better day for everyone if Jeff was still around. "She talked to me like she knew me, Mom, I swear." "Yeah, did she know your name and date of birth?" He crinkled his nose at me. "Come on, come take a look at her. I think I know where she's at." "No way, Missy's asleep, which means she's not whining at me." I waved him off playfully. "Just ignore the woman and go build a sandcastle or a bodyboard or something." He ran off and I returned to the Isle of Skye. Unfortunately, not long after, Missy awoke and was hungry. I fed her graham crackers and asked her if she'd like to try dipping a toe in the bay, but she refused that rite of passage and rudely sank that photo op. As I was attempting to get darned wrapper off the straw of her juice box, I spotted a woman in khaki pants and a white blouse yanking my son by the arm out of the surf. I nearly screamed. Sure, he was probably farther out than I would have liked, but there was no reason for her to do that to someone else's child. This was my son. I sprang up, my book fell from my lap, and I grabbed Missy. I practically had to drag her down the beach to catch the woman who I believed was either inappropriately chastising my son or worse. "I want to go home, Mommy," said Missy. I ignored her. Hey, hey there, I yelled, but it was too loud with the whipping wind, crashing surf, and throngs of people milling about. I could even hear a fire or ambulance siren whining nearby. I panicked when I lost sight of the woman and my son behind a group of college guys playing football. Jessie. When I spotted them again, I could tell Jessie was scared. I yelled his name a few more times and waved my free arm. Finally, he heard or saw me, and we locked eyes. I don't know if seeing me gave him the encouragement he needed, but he broke free from the woman's grasp and ran through the crowd over a family's beach area, knocking over a tent and an umbrella, and practically dove into my arms. What the heck is going on, Jessie? The woman. It was her, he yelled into my arm. He was panting, trying to catch his breath. I don't know why, but she grabbed me and was going on about the current, or tide, or something. I examined him. One of his arms had bruises from her tugging on him. I was furious, to say the least, but I didn't have time to dwell on the marks on his arms as there was quite a commotion going on nearby. People were parting, moving their belongings out of the way to make room for a lifeguard on an ATV. Missy finally came to life and showed some interest in the ongoings as an ambulance followed the ATV down to the water. Truck, fireman, Missy laughed. It seemed almost inappropriate how giddy she was at seeing the emergency crew. There she is, Mom, screamed Jessie, pointing down toward a crowd that had formed near the water. I saw a woman dressed as he described, with a similar hairstyle and color as mine. I was going to confront her. She left marks on my boy. I grabbed both children and hurried them toward the gathering looky-loos. I wonder what's up, asked Jessie. Shark attack? That's not funny. Someone's either sick or hurt down there. I steeled myself to the possibility that I might be exposing my children to a half-eaten torso. We beelined straight for the woman, who waded into the crowd as we came up on the scene near the ambulance. I could see someone was lying in the sand. Their legs and torso seemed intact, to my relief. Still, I was determined to confront this woman. Someone was being given CPR. I could practically hear the chest compressions. Women were crying. I could catch glimpses of the medical team working through the crowd. The victim was a small person, a child. I hesitated, but only briefly. I was going to confront my double, let her know she couldn't strong-arm, discipline, or whatever my son. Jessie held her hand and wait here. He knew the tone. He knew this wasn't something to be taken lightly. I didn't push, so much as nudge my way through the crowd. It was a boy that had drowned. His skin was already blue. He was long gone, but the woman who had grabbed my son was there, on her knees, beside the paramedics. Her head was down, her hair obscuring her face. I guess she kind of looked like me. I approached her, slowly. Ma'am. She took a moment, but she eventually looked up. I was perhaps 2 paces from her then. Christ, she really did look like me. We locked eyes. She seemed to recognize me in the way that you recognize someone, but don't know from where or why. You do. When her eyes shifted to the drowned boy, mine did too. I hadn't gotten a decent look at him, so fixated was I on my double. The boy looked about 10, wearing the same pair of navy blue board shorts Jessie had picked out at Target, and he reminded me of my deceased husband. That chin, those ears, eyes. What are the chances? Why was this happening? I felt nauseous and nearly puked as I imagined my own son's drowning. I pushed my way back through the crowd and gathered my kids to me. I rushed them away from the ocean and never looked back. It's time to go. What about the lady, Mom? Why was she crying over the kid who drowned? Asked Jessie. He must have overheard people talking about it. The details. It was her son, Jessie. Her son drowned. Really? Jesus. Why? He began crying. Missy saw that he was crying, and not knowing why, she started crying herself. She must have been distracted, Jessie. The rip current.